Hey everyone, thanks for joining this session for marketing and creative professionals. When was the last time you heard from a member of management that they don't really understand how your marketing initiative actually impacts the business bottom line? What can you do as a marketing leader to power your team to be much more proactive? What can you do to move your teams from chasing tasks to driving business growth? How can you ensure the work your marketing team produces aligns directly to key business objectives and goals? In the next 20 minutes, we'll share some of the top challenges our customers face today, along with lots of practical advice, all based on learnings the Monday team gained in the last couple of years. Please make sure to leave any question in the Q&A box and we will reply them towards the end of this session. Let's quickly introduce ourselves, starting with you, Olivia.
Awesome. Thank you, Dorit. So, hi everyone. My name is Olivia. I'm a dedicated success manager here on the enterprise team at monday.com. I've worked in various tech verticals since starting my career in edtech, fintech, martech, and I'm based in New York City.
And I'm Dorit. I joined monday.com to develop a product marketing strategy. In the past decade, I've been in several marketing roles in global organizations, working with many different marketing tools. Actually, when I started, Excel was the most common option for marketers to manage their daily work. For years, the question I got asked the most by management is how our marketing work moves the needle and creates an impact. If I had $1 for every time I got asked this question. But since I started using Monday to manage our marketing work, it became easier to answer this question. We as marketing leaders face all kinds of operational challenges. Here's what we learned from our customers across a diverse set of industries. Not surprisingly, many of you struggle to manage distributed teams. Marketing has always had a lot of moving parts, but especially these days, the trend towards remote work is the new norm. We are all required to adapt work processes. For example, I had a conversation with a customer last week, and he told me how difficult it is for him to onboard new team members successfully and establish the right organizational culture without having the traditional FaceTime water cooler style orientation. Beyond that, it's hard to keep up with the business. Lack of team agility, flexibility, and alignment is explicitly called out as an issue that negatively impacts marketing execution. Today, more than ever, teams are required to respond faster to market demands. How often do you hear that a certain campaign needs to be launched within days, or that a new content needs to be generated ASAP? Additionally, it's hard to manage high volume of work. It's usually caused by several different factors, whether it's multiple campaigns running at the same time or content marketing teams that are constantly asked for one more blog post, another white paper. This applies also to virtual events planning professionals that are constantly under deadline pressure and multitasking is part of their daily agenda. Many teams also report a difficulty in balancing workload overload. We all live and work in a fast-moving environment with limited resources. When members of your team are overloaded, marketing and creative projects can suffer delays and missed deadlines. The less time you have to ensure everything is properly planned and executed, the more likely things will go wrong. We obviously want to avoid of overwhelming our teams as it can lead to them burning out and feel frustrated. On top of it, Everyone struggles to manage complex workflows that annex across multiple teams throughout the organization. Whether you work for a marketing agency and collaborate with video editors, designers, project managers, account managers, or whether you're part of an enterprise marketing team collaborating with sales, product, operations, etc. In many cases, these other teams have different and conflicting priorities. They tend to use their own tools and act as siloed units, which leads to friction between teams and ultimately to a lack of transparency as they try to collaborate. Are your teams always aligned around the same goals, priorities, and KPIs? When they aren't, what are the things that fall through the cracks? And let's not forget the great amount of agencies, vendors, freelancers, and partners that also play a significant part in our complex workflows, and we need to collaborate with them and align effectively. And it's really hard to efficiently handle creative and content work requests. When an intake process is unstructured, it causes a lack of standardization and process failures. Do you have a proper process in place that helps you consolidate work requests and funnel them into your workflows? Do you track real-time progress? Because many teams tell us they don't. If you're facing any of these challenges, stay tuned, because we at monday.com believe that efficient marketing and creative work management can't happen unless teams learn how to tackle these challenges. When marketing teams lack the tools to manage their marketing requests, projects, and workflows, they resort to emails, spreadsheets, and endless meetings to stay in sync. The workload can quickly spin out of control, and we can't figure out how to carve time out of our hectic schedules for marketing strategy, innovation, and growth. So what have we been doing with all the knowledge we collected? How does the team at Monday take on these challenges in order to move teams from the catching up mode, ill-managed processes, and missed deadlines to delivering marketing excellence and creating more business value while breaking down organizational silos? Olivia, how do we tackle these challenges? Any ideas? I'm sure you've got some.
I've got a few ideas, Dorit. Let's take a look in the platform and see what we can come up with. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here, and you should be able to see now Project Nest up in the left-hand corner. And let's take for a moment, let's just think about launching a new product. So put yourself in the shoes of a marketer that might be launching a new product here. And before we dive in, I want to call out that there are no limits to how you can use monday.com. Monday.com is truly the most flexible, customizable tool on the market that allows you to completely configure your account as you wish. So no one board will look the same, your account will look different than mine, and that's okay. We want it to be tailored and suitable for your own needs. So with that, let's walk through a couple different use cases of how marketers might be using monday.com today. So to get started, let's take a look at this board here. Now, I want to call out that we have a purple node, which indicates a shareable board. There are a couple different board types, and we might get into that later, but just know that with a shareable board, you can share your project and whatever you're managing in monday.com externally with guests, with vendors, be it freelancers. There's tons of folks that you work with that aren't within your organization. So we've created shareable boards and the guest feature so that you can work alongside other folks that might not be within your org. We have Ron Swanson and Tom Haverford as some of our freelance copywriters, and that helps take the load off some of our internal employees. Now, we don't want you to have to be reactive in your business operations. We want you to always be proactive and forward thinking so that you can focus on strategy and the robots and the tech can kind of do the work for you. So let's take a look at what we have here. We've got a couple different groups: content, PR, website, demand gen, all things that might be helpful for a product launch. Now, you might notice that we also have a different status column here, calling out what actual stage this is in, whether it's being worked on, awaiting approval, or whether it's on hold. You'll notice that there's also another label that looks pretty similar. but this status column actually denotes what kind of media type this is. So really handy here, again, different ways that you can slice and dice the information. Of course, we want to stay on track and we want to be held accountable. So we'll need a due date here to make sure that we're staying on track. And you'll see that we've actually connected this target launch date with the current status so that we have a little timeline left of how much is overdue. And let's say that we have, let's say that this was completed, you would see that this is already crossed off. So there's a lot of visual cues in monday.com. Monday is a very colorful, almost addictive kind of tool that's gamified the way that people interact with each other and with their own work. So let's say that we have here a copywriter column and a designer. Not every item is going to require a designer, but again, these are actual people that I can message with within the platform. They are users within my account. We also, very important, need to have a files column here because we're working with a bunch of different file types. So what's neat about this is we can integrate. Not only can you upload directly from your computer, but we have direct integrations natively with Google Drive, Dropbox, Box, OneDrive, you name it. And that's just one thing to look at there. Now, what I'd like to do is actually show you guys a couple other tips and tricks here. So maybe I am working to figure out how much it's going to cost me to create this whole project. I need some help budgeting. Perhaps we estimate that it's going to take 2 hours to create Instagram launch captions. Maybe it's going to take 1.5 hours because these ones are just stories. Maybe it's going to take 3 hours to create a landing page header and really come up with good copy there. So easy. Let's put in some numbers there. But because we're working with different freelancers and they might have different rates, let's say Ron's rate is $200 an hour, and same thing here. And let's say Leslie's rate is only $100 an hour. You can actually see that I've pre-configured a formula such that you can select the estimated hours column, times the cost, and easily see what that budgeting is going to look like. Helpful stuff when it comes to budgeting and managing timelines and budgets for your process. So in addition to cost, we also need to talk about, again, assigning people out, making sure that people are held accountable. It's really easy to just search and add someone here to be able to, again, notify them that they are now assigned to a certain task. We'll touch on notifications in just a bit, but you'll also see that they come right through here, so you'll always have a pulse on what is happening in your account. Again, I mentioned files here. We're going to circle back on this later as it comes to reviewing and making sure that you're able to find all your files in one place. But one thing that I think is really important and that we hear a lot from marketers especially is that certain steps in a process are dependent on the steps prior to it, right? We call these dependencies. So if you think through this a little bit, we can't launch a press release until we've drafted the press release. We can't finalize message rollout until we've created the message and copy. So what I've done here is actually created a relationship between those items that connects this item, so finalize message rollout strategy, with create message and copy for landing page. So with this relationship, what I can do is set up an automation. Again, I spoke a little bit earlier about how we want the robots to be doing the work for you so that you're not wasting your time trying to figure out, oh, are these dates aligned? Do they make sense? We've created 2 automations here that, one, push the the target launch date of an item to reflect the changes made on the date of its dependency item. Same thing with the timeline. So all that allows us to do is be able to go right over here. And when I change the date for create messaging, if I change this date out, let's call it a week, you'll notice that the other date that it's dependent on, finalize message rollout strategy, just shifted the same number of days. Really handy stuff when it comes to managing a wide variety of timelines, tons of different projects. And again, some of the challenges that Dorit spoke about really relay in here. So you can think about hard to manage volume of work, hard to efficiently handle creative and content requests, and also hard to push cross-departmental projects forward. How are you able to communicate with each other if everything is happening in disparate tools? So actually being able to bring everything within one tool, to have Monday as your single source of truth, is really powerful and will save you guys a lot of time. Now, we've talked about dependencies, super important, and we just touched a little bit on automations. But what about integrations? It's great that I'm getting notified or that I'm able to move a date, but what about other systems that we use? Marketers especially have tons of different tools and pieces of technology that help them do their jobs better. So monday.com has already created hundreds of native integrations for you. So really easy to set up. We'll have recipes that are already available for you. I'm just going to call out a few that I think are particularly interesting, especially for marketers. We have Facebook ads that automatically can sync a campaign information from each account. We also have an integration with LinkedIn if you're looking to create posts on your company account. As I mentioned before, tons of different file storage, so OneDrive, Box, Dropbox. And some of my favorites when it comes to communication are maybe Slack or MS Teams. And these are really comprehensive integrations set up so that you're able to link so much information right into your board and right into your Microsoft Teams account. Again, this eliminates the need to switch back and forth between tools, to have one conversation going on in here and another one going on in email. You're able to really bring it all together very succinctly. So we've got a couple integrations there, but I do want to call out that if we don't have an integration with the tool that's integral to your working style and your workflows, we have an amazing system called Monday Apps that allows you to build your own custom integrations with a no-code, low-code system. So very easy to use. And while monday.com might not be simple in a lot of ways because there is a lot of functionality a part of the platform, it is intuitive. And you'll see that as you start to move within. I'm not sure whether you've used monday.com before, but everything is very fluid, can be dragged and dropped, edited inline. It's a really great user-friendly system. So we've talked a little bit about integrations, automations, and Monday apps. I'd like to switch gears and take a look at our creative requests board, where you'll actually see a variety of different creative requests that might have come in for this product launch. So what you've got here is, again, a couple of different items or tasks that are needed. And these tasks came in via a form, which we're going to touch on in a minute. Again, you can see that we're using our status labels for different things. This will come into play when we talk about dashboards and reporting in a little bit. And again, I mentioned this due date column, right? But what if I'm not in Monday every hour of the day and I need to keep a pulse on this so that it's maybe on my phone? We do have a Monday app, definitely download that so you can get push notifications right on your phone. But in addition to that, we have a Google Calendar integration so that you can very easily sync important due dates with your calendar. You can choose whether you want to sync items that are just yours or all items on the board. Not going to sync right now, but really easy to set that up. Now, let's talk a little bit about creative asset management. Let's say that Andrew here added a file that is meant to be reviewed. It's a brochure. So let's say he added this here. I'm going to add a comment because I like this brochure. It looks nice, but I think we need our logo to be a little bit bigger on the front. So I'm going to mention Andrew and say, looks great. Would love to see the logo a little bit bigger. Going to comment, and now we're collaborating together and we're actually able to make those updates so that you're not working with revisions all in different places. So what we're going to do here is maybe I'll mark so it's need editing. I'm going to say stuck. And again, Andrew will get notified when there are updates so that you're not talking in email, you're not setting up meetings. You have monday.com again as your single source of truth. So this is really powerful. Again, as it allows you to manage a large volume of requests and helps you manage distributed teams. So we've taken a look here. This is great, but maybe I need to have a little bit more dialogue than just saying, hey, I think that logo needs to be bigger. So let's take a look at our e-newsletter visuals. See, you can see Andrew made a note for me that said, we're on it with a GIF. Again, we want working with Monday. We want your job to be fun. So I told him, thanks for the update, Andrew. But maybe instead there's something else and he wants to let us know that he'll be done with his portion by the end of the week. That's great, but I also wanted to CC the app marketing team for visibility. So maybe I do the same thing here where with our social GIF, I want to mention the marketing team. So I can go ahead and do that so that everyone on the marketing team is getting notified. Would love your input on this one. And I'm going to throw in a GIF and an emoji because why not? We want to keep things fun here. We'll do working on it. And there are many more. We're integrated with Giphy. So if you search for anything, maybe Parks and Rec, like some of our freelancers here, we've got this included as well. So I'm going to click update. And now anyone that's on this item will also receive an update that there have been changes to this post. So we've talked a little bit about how we can manage different assets and kind of go through a creative review process. But on top of that, maybe I want to see all of my assets in one place. So what we've done is created a files view. And right now I think there might only be one file added on this board. So let's head back to our product launch board where we've got tons of different assets here. We've got Google Docs link, but we've also got a number of different JPEGs. I'm going to actually go right into our files view that allows you to see all files on this board in one easy place. Another way you can find files on your account is by going to search everything, and you'll be able to see that you can search your entire account this way. So maybe I just want to search by files and I want to filter everything down to that. But more than just files, I want to look at all images. Again, instead of having places in Dropbox, email, Slack, on your desktop, you've now got everything in one place, eliminating the need to switch between tools and get lost with whatever is going on with your project that you're managing. So again, we're talking a little bit about files here, but let's go back to creative requests and talk about what we're going to do when we receive a new request. What you can do is configure a form so that you're able to receive those requests in one easy place. So this is automatically populated for you based on the information that exists right in this board. So I'm just going to go in, take a look at my form, and when I click preview, you'll see how this form actually looks to a user. You don't need to be a Monday user to fill out this form. So if you're working with external folks, you can fill it out right here. So if I actually go in and say, I need a, let's call it a website banner for the website, content type, let's call it programmatic for now. Maybe we'll reuse that ad. And my target launch date, let's say is going to be today. Estimated hours, I think it might take 2 hours. And this isn't a required field, but I'm going to submit it anyways. And now when I submit this and I go back to the main view of my form, which is that main table, you'll see that this populated right down here, and automatically Adam gets assigned because of an automation that I had previously configured. So again, taking that work out of your day where you don't need to figure out who's getting assigned to what, but again, the tech does the work for you. We've also configured some automations that are pretty neat. 2 days before that target due date arrives, notify designer. Again, we don't need you hounding people. You don't need to be chasing folks or deadlines. That's up to the technology. So again, that form kind of tackles that challenge of efficiently managing and handling creative and content requests. So as we discussed, that updates, being able to communicate in context, that's key to being able to tackle hard to manage distributed teams. Really powerful stuff, especially when you think about the tens of hundreds of thousands of projects that might be going on at any given time. Now, we're going to switch gears for a minute and talk about dashboards. Dashboards are a great way for us to be able to aggregate data from multiple data sources. So what I mean by that is that we're managing projects right now for our marketing team. Our production team is also working on this at the same time, managing sprints to make sure that we're all aligned on the same due dates and deadlines. Maybe our editorial calendar, a video production pipeline, creative requests. These are all really important components, but how do we bring it all together so that reporting is easier, relaying dates, timelines, where things stand, again, is all done in one place. We've created a dashboard to do just that. So with this marketing dashboard, once this loads, you'll be able to see that we've got, and I'm going to just close out the side panel here so you guys have a bit more room. We've now created a calendar view so that you can easily see dates and deadlines that are approaching with one quick glance. We also have a timeline view down here, which is really neat, that allows you to view everything in a Gantt view so that you can make sure that, again, you're on track for that project launch, very straightforward, and you're able to see everything at once. Again, reporting is really important. You guys are going to have to report to your directors. Maybe your direct reports also need to know the higher level project status. So as someone who's managing lots of folks, we're going to talk in just a minute about managing workload. But in the meantime, I want to come back to that thing I mentioned earlier about communicating in context. It's great to know that 11.5% of our projects are working on it, or only 30.8% are done. But I actually want to know which ones are being worked on. So these battery widgets show status columns and allow us to drill down into so you can actually see what is being worked on in that moment. I'm going to go ahead and collapse that, and you can see that we've got a couple other kinds of charts. You can see a stacked bar chart here, and there are several other widget types I won't go into. Again, we're just scratching the surface, but just a few different ways to get the wheels turning. Now, maybe I want to also pull in how many estimated design hours this is going to take. 336, that's a lot. And maybe the expected product launch cost is almost $2.4 million. So again, these are numbers widgets that are pulling from different data sources across those different boards. The last thing I want to show you on this dashboard is our workload widget. And again, for marketers, this is key. You work with a lot of different folks, people are involved doing their own thing, and it's really hard to stay on top of everyone. How are you supposed to know everything that every single person is working on? With the different sizes of the concentric circles, you can see illustrated how much work a user has at any given time. And because we're using that timeline column, you're able to bridge it all together. So for example, we've set a benchmark that Adam should never be working on more than 7 projects at once. Because he's right at 7, we've got a nice check mark that says, great, you're not under-resourced or overworked, and you're not underworked either. So you're right in the middle, like Goldilocks. But maybe if we actually need to move this deadline up a bit, the ebook actually needs to change the date, and it's going to end up going back another week. So we can actually go in and change that. And when we make this change, you'll see that now represented in the timeline view here in the workload, we now have a red circle that's indicating Adam is not able to take on any more work. So again, these visual indicators are key and help folks manage large volumes of work and balance workload overload in general. So with this dashboard, you can see again, just the beginning of how you might be able to pull together comprehensive reports so that everyone that's working on said project, or maybe your directors, are able to keep track of everything at once. I'll also note that you can make a dashboard, a homepage for an account. So that's really handy if there's a company-wide initiative going on. You can go ahead and set that up that way. And again, being able to take the work out of reporting, writing long emails, sending Excel documents that might be outdated, all of this stuff, we want you to be able to focus on your goals and your strategy and less focus on things that don't matter or that just take up tedious tasks in your day. So with that, going to just call out that we are really just scratching the surface here. So I'm going to show you a few templates just to get you started so that you know where to go. If you're curious kind of what else we have out there, clicking on the plus sign next to any of your workspaces allows you to choose from a template if you don't feel like starting from a blank board, or you can import very easy as well. But choosing from templates allows you to go, we have tons of pre-built templates based on experience that our internal marketers and other folks that we've worked with in marketing have identified as being common workflows. And again, this can just help to get the wheels turning. So with that, going to turn it back to you, Dorit. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and we'll talk to you in the Q&A. Thanks.
Thank you, Olivia, for this wonderful demo, and thank you all for staying with us. Remember that today, marketing teams have a choice. They can continue with being pulled down by mundane tasks and seeing through long hours of meetings, messaging apps, and spreadsheets, or becoming the forward-thinking marketers driving their business growth. We're now open to answer your questions. Please type them in the Q&A box.